I really want you to know that the reason I'm sharing this with you is that I don't want you to be stressed. I don't want your family to be stressed. Hi, I'm Niki Murphy, EXP Realtor here in Southern Oregon. And I wanted to talk today about something that I think is really important for you as much as it is for me. Realtor safety. How do we stay safe when we're meeting somebody for the first time? We've never met them. We might be meeting them in a vacant home or out on a parcel, and we're generally by ourselves as realtors. What is it that you can do to take safety steps to make sure that your real estate experience is a safe one, that it's good for you and your client? So I'm going to talk today about steps you can take, how to implement a plan, and how to put it into practice to where it becomes something as basic as grabbing your purse and your car keys to keep you safe when you meet those clients for the first time or the fifth time, and be able to focus on your job knowing that you're going to come home just fine. So one of the first things that I want to stress to you is being prepared doesn't have to be scary. I think sometimes the reason that personal safety, especially for women in real estate, is something we don't talk about is it's uncomfortable and it can incite stress in us. I really want you to know that the reason I'm sharing this with you is that I don't want you to be stressed. I don't want your family to be stressed. Real estate is a wonderful profession, and with certain safety protocols in place, we can have a really good, healthy experience in the world of safety, and our family and our coworkers know that we're being proactive. The first step is make a plan. Now, we have plans for all kinds of things. I'll give you a great example. When you get on the plane, and we've all been on a plane where you have to sit there through that demonstration, and they tell you how to put on the oxygen mask should the oxygen mask drop from the ceiling. And what they stress is adults put it on first and then place one on your child. Well, they do that because as adults, if we're taken care of, then we can be helpful. Well, we take the same approach, and I think that it's important that we take the same approach, and that you should too. We need to be proactive to take care of ourselves first. In that, we have a network that we want to create that says, this is where I'm going, this is who I'm meeting, this is what time, and this is when I should be back. That can be something as simple as, every time I go out the door to meet a client, I'm going to text my principal broker that you've been thinking about this. So I'm a shrimpy, and I'll give you an example. I met a client, and that client was new to me, and I was selling a property, and they were not happy with the seller. I was going to be on both sides of the transaction. And this was a commercial building. It was a huge building, probably about 2,000 square feet, an older building. And there were big double doors, big glass double doors. It was built in the 70s. So I met this buyer who was agitated with the seller. I opened these big double doors and I stepped inside, and he stepped behind me. And by the way, this is nothing against men. I'm just using this as a general example at the moment. I've seen wackadoodle stuff happen with all kinds of people, men and women. So I'm not picking on you guys, I promise. And this video is good for you guys too. Our spouses and our girlfriends and our coworkers like to know that our guys are out there being proactive safety too. So back to my story that I was telling you about. So I step into this room by about 10 feet, and this gentleman steps behind me, and now he's standing in the doorway, and I instantly realize, uh-oh, I'm in a room and I don't have any exterior windows. There's no exterior doors, and my only exit from that building is this doorway where this gentleman is really agitated, not with me, but he's agitated with the seller. However, he's directing the agitation at me. And in a microsecond, I took some steps I've learned. I went ahead and stepped back and pointed out that he might want to take a look at something over here. I literally distracted him enough to get him to step in 2 steps, and I immediately stepped back out of the doorway and began to have the conversation with him about the property while I was outside the building, outside the doorway, and he was inside. Now, as soon as I stepped outside, my anxiety level dropped because now I'm in an open environment. This gentleman never did anything. He never said anything to me, but from my experiences and from my training, I took just a couple steps and that initial action, and I put myself in a safer environment. Maybe the next time a scenario happens like that with a man or a woman, maybe it doesn't go as smoothly, and maybe they do become agitated with me. But I knew enough to step outside, and that was very good. We ended up having a really great conversation and everything worked out well. But it's those types of instances where in a very brief second, you can realize, hey, I've put myself in a position that might not be comfortable. And we're going to talk more about that because I think a lot of times we as realtors, and I'm going to speak even broader than that, maybe even about contractors, we have more emotion and thought about the actual property that we're selling and not so much about the general public that we're meeting. And so I want to talk about that in just a little bit. But in the meantime, I want to get back to that scenario. So back to the plan. So I've got my buddy. I'm going to say it's John. That's my buddy. Hey, John, I'm going to go see so-and-so at Summit Loop, and I should be done by 4 o'clock. And John and I have worked out a protocol. If John doesn't hear from me, say by 4 or 4:30, John's going to call me. John's going to ask me, are you still there? What's going on? Now, in advance of that, we always want to work out some sort of a safety word. And it doesn't have to be a word. It could be a whole sentence. It could be something that lets the person at the other end of the phone know you're in trouble. You need help. You might want to stay away from words like peanut butter or unicorn. And the only reason I say that, unless you can work something as random as that into a real estate conversation in front of a potential issue, you might want to use a sentence like, I hope the Smith file arrived on your desk. Did the Smith file show up? I was expecting to have the Smith stop by the office. Something that sounds real estate, but that says, I'm in trouble, I need help. I have an issue. One of the other safety protocols that you can go to is FaceTime. We're going to talk about that in a second. But once I've initiated some sort of a statement of urgency to my team member, they should know what to do. And knowing what to do goes back to, did I tell them where I'm at? Did I tell them I was meeting so-and-so at my listing at Summit Loop? If I didn't do that, then someone should hope I have phone tracking on. Do I have the ability to drop a pin to somebody? You might not. One of the uncomfortable parts about this discussion is sometimes stuff happens so fast that there is no time to send out a text or to drop someone a pin. We might only have that ability to let our team member or buddy know we need help. Now, once that happens, our team member, our buddy, should be able to say, okay, hang on, and in some form or fashion, alert the proper authorities or whatever needs to be, that somebody needs to come meet you at your listing at Summit Loop. And even if you are working on devices that allow it, initiate a FaceTime. One of the biggest ways that technology can help us in the world of safety, personal safety, is identification. People who do bad things, they don't want you to know their name and they don't want you to know what they look like. So if our team member instantly initiates that phone call into a FaceTime, you can go ahead and immediately notify that person, I'm on FaceTime with my team buddy and he and I have to talk about the Smith file. I'm going to step outside for just a moment. If you have to shove the phone in somebody's face and say, you're on FaceTime, this is live, something that buys you time to get out the door. And every scenario can be different, and there are ways to talk through this. But what you really should do is spend time with your team buddy, not just 45 seconds. Take the time, do it for you. Your safety is important, and we see enough goofy stuff on TV. It's good to know that you've got a plan and you've actually discussed it in depth. It wasn't something where you chatted about it in the hallway.